Eddie Hearn might actually pull it off, you know. He might actually be able to make a serious mark in the American boxing market. Judging by his first press conference for this show that he's doing in November, which is going to be headlined by his first Matchroom US signing, Danny Jacobs. It was a great press conference. It was a typical Eddie Hearn press conference. It was much more lively, much more entertaining than the usual press conferences you see in the United States. So maybe the Eddie Hearn charisma and the Eddie Hearn vibe has become contagious over there. We'll see. But I was quite impressed by that press conference. Danny Jacobs, you know, he's a very good fighter. But as I've said in a previous video, I'm still not convinced by his chin. And I know he just got, you know, went 12 rounds with Triple G. But I don't think Triple G is quite the puncher that people maybe thought he was in the past, or a lot of his diehards believe he is. I don't think he's quite that level puncher. I mean, you've had Martin Murray come out recently saying George Groves hits harder than Triple G, which I can well believe. I think Triple G is a guy who is very accurate in a lot of his fights and very consistent with landing hard clubbing shots. But I don't necessarily think he's the biggest one-punch knockout guy that we've ever seen in the middleweight division or anywhere close. So, yeah, Danny Jacobs survived his power. Although I don't think Danny Jacobs really got hit with too many clean power shots in that fight. That's one thing I have to say. The one time when he did get hit with clean power shots, he found himself on the canvas. He wasn't really hurt. It was a flash knockdown, more to do with balance than, you know, or as much to do with balance as the actual punches. A genuine knockdown, nonetheless, don't get me confused. But yeah, I don't think that fight right there proved beyond any shadow of a doubt that Danny Jacobs' chin is not suspect. I'm still not 100% convinced by Jacobs' chin. And anyway, I say all that to say this. This guy that Danny Jacobs is about to fight, Luis Arias, he might be able to exploit that weakness in Jacobs, that suspect chin. You know, Jacobs was not clean out by Pirog. Jacobs was dropped by Sergio Mora, a guy who's not a puncher. And these are the things that Arias brought up at the press conference. Arias is a very colorful character, you know, very macho kind of guy, which is good, especially for a press conference. It's good. Eddie Hearn liked it. So we'll see what happens there with Danny Jacobs and this Arias guy. I've never seen him fight before. Excuse my ignorance. Maybe some of you guys have. So if you've seen him fight, let me know what you think of him. Is he any good? He looks quite a bit shorter than Danny Jacobs, which, you know, I mean, a lot of opponents that Danny Jacobs has are shorter than him. That's one of his advantages, is the fact that he's such a big middleweight, not just in terms of body mass, but height and reach. You know, he's got good height and reach on him. But Arias is 18-0. He's an unbeaten fighter. 27 years old, 5'11". Fought on the undercard of, which event was it? It was the Andre Ward-Sergey Kovalev rematch. He fought on that undercard. I can't remember if I actually saw him fight. Because I obviously watched that card, but I can't remember if I saw that particular undercard fight or if I was really thinking about it. I probably did see it, but it didn't really stick in my mind. So that's probably not a great indication on Arias' behalf, or maybe I was just being ignorant. Anyway, let me stop waffling on here, people. Point I'm making is, looks like a good, so far so good for Eddie Hearn in terms of his press conference and setting up shop in the US. Let's see what happens with this Danny Jacobs fight. He really needs Jacobs to win because this is his flag bearer for Matchroom US at the moment. He really needs Jacobs to win. But will Jacobs win? He's going in there against an undefeated fighter. A guy who is very hungry. A guy who believes in himself. The only thing I will say is that Arias has only got 9 KOs in 18 fights. Doesn't necessarily indicate a great amount of punching power, but as I've said many times before, knockout percentage is not always an accurate indication of how hard somebody can hit. Maybe they're just not very good at landing their shots consistently in fights. Their power shots. So that's something to consider. But still, Sergio Mora wasn't a big puncher and he managed to have Danny Jacobs on the floor. You never know. Anyway, if you've seen him, let me know what you think of him. What kind of style does he have? Do you think he's going to cause Jacobs any problems? And let me know what you think about the Eddie Hearn setup in the US with Matchroom. All right, drop it all in the comment section below. It's happening. I'm out.